with what he had. That name you have seen a lot this weekend. That name you have heard a lot this weekend. And that man is Thurgood Marshall. Now, we've kept you very busy. Your schedules don't allow you a lot of free time. I just stand aside in the hallway so I don't get run over. It's been a fast pace for you this weekend, but allow me, if you would, to just slow this down a bit and welcome you to Thurgood Marshall 101. I'm often asked what it was like to grow up as a son of Justice Thurgood Marshall. Let me tell you a few things. First, going back to that conference, he could have easily gone through a list of accomplishments and titles that he achieved during his 60 years in professional life. Attorney Marshal, Mr. Civil Rights, General Counsel of the National Association for the Advancement of Colored People, President, Director Counsel of the NAACP Legal Defense Fund, Judge Marshal of the Second Circuit, United States Court of Appeals. During his years on the bench there, he had 212 rulings, none of which were reversed by the Supreme Court. Mr. Solicitor General Marshall, the first African American to hold that position as the lead attorney for the United States government. During his time there, he argued 19 cases before the Supreme Court and won 14 out of the 19. Mr. Justice Thurgood Marshall, the first African American appointed to the United States Supreme Court. During his 24 years on the bench, he authored 769 opinions. Pretty impressive titles. But there's one title that only two people could call him by. And that's me and my brother. Because we got to call him Dad. So what was it like growing up in that household? I always tell people first that when your father has won 29 out of 32 cases he argued in the Supreme Court, your chances of winning an argument in that household are slim to none. But that doesn't mean we didn't try. I remember one argument in particular. When I was growing up as a teenager in Northern Virginia, all my friends had mini bikes. And I'm aging myself here a little bit. So let's explain that a mini bike is a very small motorcycle. All my friends had one. I told my dad I wanted one. He said no. I kept asking him for one. He said absolutely no. So then I said, let me use a little bit of the Thurgood Marshall playbook here. I said, I have a right to a mini bike. He said no. I said, I'm arguing here for equal rights to motorized transportation. But I was denied again. And just as I was about to give up, he came home from work one day, a disgusted look on his face, and he threw me the keys to his car and said, son, I give up. I'm just tired of arguing with you. There's something in the trunk for you. So, I'll talk a little bit later, but I know you've heard about Brown versus Board of Education that my father argued. To me, this was my Brown versus Board of Education. My landmark victory. And I remember taking those keys and proudly walking out to that car and popping open the trunk, and I looked in and there was a cardboard box. I looked at it, scratched my head, and I said, I know what he's doing. I may have got my mini bike, but it's probably in about 50 pieces, and I'm going to have to put it together. That's fine, I was good with tools. Then I opened up the box, and I looked in. And what did I see? Boxes. I mean, books in that box. Books. And I looked at the top book, Virginia Motor Vehicle Code. Where I'm going. I opened up the pages that were marked and then highlighted were the code sections dealing with the illegality of riding mini bikes on a public street, Flip another page, the requirement to have a driver's license to operate one. Flip another page, you have to be 16 to ride one, and I wasn't. So my landmark victory is short-lived. And I'll never forget looking at the kitchen window and seeing my mother and my father's face crunched in that window this afternoon. I had a lot of great memories growing up. I have memories of my dad getting up 4 o'clock Sunday morning to take my brother and me to play ice hockey at the Washington Coliseum in Washington, D.C. I remember him putting up with me playing drums in the basement, right below where he would sit and watch TV and not complain. I remember him always making time for his family. I also remember one time that he had promised me a skateboard. And this was in 1967. And for some reason that day at school, my mother came and picked us up early. I knew something was going on because there was a television news crew with her. Ends up that was the day when President Johnson nominated my father to the U.S. Supreme Court. It was an exciting big day. And I remember getting in the car, my mother told us what was going on, and of course my first reaction was, what about my skateboard? And as I said, it was an exciting day. A lot of interviews. Obviously my father was very busy with the interviews, and they were already starting preparation for his confirmation hearings, and I didn't see him probably until around after dinner time. And I remember, gave him a hug, said, congratulations. And then I remember I did like this. He was a tall man. He bent down and I said, well, what about my skateboard? He had promised me that day he was going to come home from work early to get me that skateboard. And he said, well, I'm just trying to get everything going on here. I said, okay. And then, shortly before 9 o'clock, he said, come on, let's go. And he got me to that toy store right before it closed and bought me that skateboard. Oh. With everything going on. He always stressed education. And I remember I went away to boarding school at a young age, and I was having some issues, having some problems, being away from home. And my grades were suffering, and I remember talking to my dad several times on the phone, and him telling me to stay focused, get back in those books, you can do better. And after several of those conversations, I did. I adjusted to boarding school life, and my grades came up. And I'll never forget, a few months after those conversations, I go and get my mail that day, and there was a card there. On official U.S. Supreme Court stationery. Statute of limitations is over, so it's okay, I can say that. There was a handwritten note in there from my dad. It said, Dear son, Mom showed me your latest report card. Congratulations. That's great. Keep it up. I'm proud of you. Love that. I still have that card. He took the time. They were sitting in the chambers at the Supreme Court to write me that card, because that's education. Yet, to understand his commitment to education, you need to only look at his life. He was born in 1908 to parents William and Norma Marshall. His mother Norma, my grandmother, was a school teacher. He was born in Baltimore, Maryland, and he's actually named Thurgood. Thoroughood. And he said by second grade he got tired of writing all those letters. So he changed his name to Thurgood. He had one older brother, Aubrey, who went on to become a physician. Now my dad apparently acted up quite a bit in school. And so to get his attention, the story has it, the teachers would send him to the furnace room with the United States Constitution. He had to memorize sections each time that he stepped out of line in the classroom. And the story also goes, by the time he graduated from high school, he had the whole Constitution memorized. Little did we know how that would come into play later on in his life. He went to Lincoln University, Lincoln, Pennsylvania University. Entered in 1925. And he went there with his sights on becoming a dentist. But when he was there, he had an experience in a nearby town when he and his friends went to the movies, and they weren't allowed to sit where they wanted to sit. They had to go up in the balcony. At that time, the signs read colored only, white only. They had to go upstairs. He didn't want to sit upstairs. Matter of fact, my dad said, it kind of struck him at the movies that if there was a way to enforce it, they probably would have made a law that said that you have to let white people laugh first at the movies. But that experience, and so many others, ignited a fire in him. And he changed his career path from wanting to become a dentist to wanting to use the law to change our nation. So after graduating from Lincoln, he applied to law school, and as I said, he lived in Baltimore. They didn't have a whole lot of money. So it would have been best for him, economically and close location, for him to go to the University of Maryland Law School. He applied, was qualified, but he was turned down based on the color of his skin. And he made a vow that day, that one day he would make the University of Maryland pay. But you know the saying, everything happens for a reason. He went to another one of our member institution law schools, Howard University School of Law. The reason I say everything happens for a reason, because that